Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Rios, Acting CEO of Totogi, and today I'm in the AWS studio with Michael Walker. He's former CMO of SmythOS, one of the first AI agent building platforms. And today we're going to talk about Totogi's BSS magic. Hi Michael.
Hi DR, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Super great to be here. And so you were at SmythOS and you were working with some of the world's biggest brands like Unilever and the US Air Force to help them jumpstart their AI roadmaps. Why is this so difficult for companies to do?
Yeah, I think there's two core types of challenges that these large enterprises face. One is technological and the second one is more organizational.
Yeah.
When you think about companies who have had the same legacy systems for years or even decades, it can be really difficult to move from that to an emerging technology like AI. You face skill gaps and technological gaps, and there's a lot of things you have to try to get over to move into that new technology, and that's where we'd step in at SmythOS.
Yeah. So SmythOS was a horizontal platform in applying this, agentic flows. Totogi's BSS Magic is a vertical approach. Why do you think, talk to me about like the pros and cons of those two approaches and maybe why the vertical approach is better?
Yeah, absolutely. If you think about late 2022, early 2023, mid 2023, every AI solution or offering was horizontal. It was a go-to-market strategy, right? Let's cover as much ground as we can so that we can get all the customers that we can in the shortest amount of time. The problem with that is it doesn't provide very much depth to the solution, right? It doesn't have industry expertise. It doesn't have technological expertise. Really, there's not a whole lot of value when you deploy horizontally. The beauty of vertical AI is it has that domain expertise. It understands your industry. It's built for your technology. Right? It has purpose-built integrations and systems that just work better for your industry. For example, telco.
You just mentioned that ontological layer, right? I think it's a key differentiator for Totogi's BSS Magic. Why is this such a key topic for BSS in telco?
That's right. And by the way, I think the ontological approach you guys are taking at Totogi is brilliant. The simple way to look at it, I look at kind of a dual ontology approach that you guys are doing is, one is the technical side. So based on a open digital architecture like TM Forum, for example, you can tell multiple different systems, here's how to talk to each other. Right? Imagine if we're sitting in a room and everybody speaks a different language, but we want to communicate the same ideas in our head. You have to have a translator, right, that can communicate those ideas effectively. So that's the technology side. But then you also have to consider, how are we as a company different from other companies, right? What's our secret sauce and what is our USP? You have to do that on a business logic level as well. So adding those two things together to create one robust ontology, it gives a brain to your AI. It gives it the ability to think and reason and make decisions as your strategic leaders would, which gives true value to the AI applications that you're building, which is what we're all after anyways.
It's one of the key problems in BSS especially is this vendor interoperability problem. And that really lies at the data model layer, right, where we have sometimes hundreds of different BSS modules in a telco ecosystem that really don't know how to talk to each other. And TM Forum's Open APIs really is trying to solve that problem. But when the data models are all different, we still haven't solved the fundamental root issue. And so BSS Magic is tackling that problem and, like you said, adding that domain expertise and really trying to abstract the business logic to the AI layer so that now you can really build as fast as you want, and it's really, really exciting. And so as you've been looking at BSS Magic and working with it, what have been the cool functionality, cool things you've seen in the system?
Yeah, well, I guess how much time do you have? Because there's a lot of them. But first is obviously it's built on AWS, which makes it so easy for enterprises and so many different large-scale organizations to deploy quickly, right? But then it also has a foundational model with Bedrock, so that companies aren't they're not stuck to one foundational model or the other, right? They can have agility in their solution to try different ones as they're building and scaling, which anyone who's deployed AI at a large scale knows that that's fundamental, right? If you have the wrong foundational model from the beginning, it's just a house of cards later on. So that's the first thing. But some of the stuff I've seen from the team in terms of data migration and being able to do upgrades quicker with AI, I think is really incredible. Right? When systems can talk to one another with this ontology approach that you mentioned, just think of the possibilities. You can move data from point A to B faster, which any large enterprise knows is a headache in and of itself. It can take months. what that does is it allows your team to free up more of their time to think strategically, right? And work on agentic use cases and things that can actually benefit their customers.
Yeah, and I think the key really is understanding that we're abstracting that business logic to that AI layer. And even though we're in the AWS studio, Satya Nadella was actually talking about this on the BG2 podcast, about how these BSS systems really are expensive CRUD databases. And as that business logic can be abstracted up, you can do anything. You can write code, you can generate new interfaces, you can pull data from different systems, and then that common data model really comes into play because you're not fighting, everyone's different implementation. You're just speaking to your system in a natural language. And like you mentioned with AWS, we deploy very quickly if we need compute, right? And then we can bring it down again. We're going against Bedrock where there's I can't even keep up with all the different models they have available. It's safe for enterprises, which everyone loves. And so I think Totogi's onto something really great. And I really appreciate you coming on to the AWS studio to talk to me about BSS Magic.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.